The Tiv-Jukun crisis of 2001, ethnic conflict in Nigeria's Middle Belt. In the heart of Nigeria's Middle Belt, a long-standing rivalry between the Tiv and Jukun ethnic groups erupted into one of the region's most devastating conflicts in the summer of 2001. What began as a dispute over land, identity, and political control quickly spiraled into a full-scale crisis that left hundreds dead, thousands displaced, and an entire region scarred by violence. The Tiv and Jukun peoples have coexisted in Taraba and Benue states for centuries, but their relationship has often been fraught with tension. The Jukun, considered the indigenous ethnic group in Taraba, and the Tiv, perceived as settlers, have clashed over control of fertile lands and political representation. The Tiv and Jukun peoples have coexisted in Taraba and Benue states for centuries, but their relationship has often been fraught with tension. At the heart of the tension lies a broader issue plaguing Nigeria, the indigenship-settler divide. This policy determines who is considered an indigene of a state and thus eligible for certain rights, including land ownership and political appointments. The Tiv, despite their long presence in Taraba, were often excluded from such benefits, fueling resentment. The 2001 crisis was sparked by an administrative decision in Taraba state. The state government, dominated by Jukun elites, announced the creation of new local council areas, but allocated these councils to areas dominated by the Jukun. This decision marginalized Tiv communities, who saw it as an attempt to strip them of political and economic power. Tensions boiled over when clashes erupted in Bukari, a Jukun stronghold, following allegations of Tiv encroachment on Jukun land. What began as isolated skirmishes soon escalated into a broader conflict. Entire villages were razed to the ground, as Tiv and Jukun militias clashed with deadly force. Armed with locally made weapons and firearms, the combatants turned towns like Wukari, Takum, and Zakibiam into battlegrounds. Reports emerged of gruesome killings, including women and children targeted in the violence. One of the most harrowing episodes occurred in Zakibiam, a Tiv town. Allegations surfaced that Jukun militias, supported by local security forces, launched a brutal attack on the town, killing scores of civilians and forcing thousands to flee. Survivors recounted horrifying tales of executions, homes set ablaze and entire families wiped out. The involvement of the Nigerian military and police added another layer of complexity to the crisis. While their mandate was to restore peace, many accused the security forces of taking sides, with some units allegedly aiding Jukun militias. In Zakibiam, military operations to flush out Tiv militants were criticized for indiscriminate killings and widespread destruction. A particularly tragic episode occurred in October 2001, when 19 soldiers were killed, allegedly by Tiv militias. In retaliation, the Nigerian military launched operations in Tiv communities, culminating in the Zakibiam massacre, where hundreds of civilians were killed and numerous homes were destroyed. By the end of 2001, the crisis had displaced over 100,000 people. Refugees flooded into neighboring Benue and Nasarawa states, seeking shelter in makeshift camps. Humanitarian agencies struggled to provide food, water, and medical care, as the scale of the crisis overwhelmed resources. The economic toll was equally devastating. Farms were abandoned, markets destroyed, and trade routes severed. The once thriving agricultural communities of Taraba and Benue were left in ruins. The Nigerian government, under President Olusegun Obasanjo, faced mounting pressure to intervene. Peace talks were convened, bringing together representatives from both sides. While agreements were reached on paper, implementing them proved challenging. Although large-scale violence subsided by 2002, sporadic clashes continued in the years that followed. The wounds of the crisis remain fresh, with many communities still divided along ethnic lines. Efforts to rebuild trust have been slow, and the root causes of the conflict, land disputes, political marginalization, and ethnic division, persist. The Tiv-Jukun crisis of 2001 stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of unresolved historical grievances and the devastating impact of ethnic division. It underscores the urgent need for equitable policies that bridge divides and promote inclusion, particularly in Nigeria's Middle Belt. For the survivors, the memories of the conflict are a painful reminder of how quickly neighbor can turn against neighbor. 2 decades later, the scars of the Tiv-Jukun War linger, a haunting legacy of a war that no one truly won. Please like, share and follow or subscribe to this page for more. Thank you.